Press and hold it. Press it once, and once it's red, that obviously means you're speaking. The water right behind you. This mic's on. Let's see if your mic's on.
I'd like to call to order the Peabody Planning Board meeting agenda for Thursday, October 5th, 2023 at 7 p.m. held at Wigan Auditorium, 24 Law Street, Peabody, Massachusetts. This is being broadcast on Public Access TV. First item of business is approval of the minutes of the 9/21/2023 meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I would move approval of the minutes of the September 21st meeting, September 1st, 2023.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Next item on the agenda is an A&R and Land Court, 168 Lynn Street, Peabody, Mass. Parcel 116-101, applicant Mr. W. David Bork, and 168 Lynn Street, Peabody, Parcel A, to be joined with Lot 9B and become one contiguous lot. To review plans, corresponding documents for this agenda item, please contact Andrew Levine, Peabody City Hall. Someone here to speak for the applicant?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Board. My name is James Mears. I'm an attorney with a practice at 9 Pasture Road in Beverly, Massachusetts, and I represent the owner and applicant, W. David Bork. On behalf of Mr. Bork, we're requesting this evening that our petition be continued to the next board hearing as we are discussing some options to the request that's currently in front of the board with our neighbor, Mr. William Scoris. So we would respectfully request that the matter be continued to your next hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the petitioner an extension of time until the next meeting of the Planning Board.
Second.
Have a second. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. I understand that there's a person in the audience that wishes to speak on this matter.
Mr. Chairman?
I will allow that. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, are we going to receive a plan depicting this request? Because I haven't seen one. Oh, is this it here?
It was in the online packet, but it's also right here too in person.
Thank you.
Do I just press the... I press the red button?
Yep, it's on.
Okay. Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Betancourt, and Planning Board. My name is Pauline Moritas. I am here with my family. I am owner of the property on the front, 170 Lynn Street, and I'm here to oppose and challenge Mr. William Scoris and Mr. Burke on this this transaction. I'm going to say that this is a very unique, suspect, and highly unethical request by the applicant. I'm not opposed to what the shed or the 5 feet that he's requesting. I'm very concerned about the strip of land that they're proposing to take all the way up to 170 Lynn Street, up to the street. I don't understand what the purpose of that is. I can say that given the past history and behavior of William Scoris and what he has done to us over the past 2 years in his recent renovations and over the course of our family, that we have family issues with him, that should this if transaction effect, he would very highly place another spite fence to the side of that property. My concerns are that there is I'm sorry, excuse me. In that area, there is a significant fire escape where where is placed. If he places a fence there, which is highly likely that he would do, it would cause a safety risk to my tenants. Currently, and very recently, I want to inform you all that he has risked my tenants in effecting no trespassing notices and has posted them on his driveway to my tenants. Okay? That would further a safety concern in that area. Currently, the property between 170 and 170 Lynn Street rear is very congested. Should he place a fence, it would further congest and cause safety issues. In addition, if he were to place a fence around this perimeter, he would devalue my property. We have experienced nothing but nuisance from William Scoris over the course of 2 years in the work that he's been performing at his property at 170 Lynn Street rear. I question the control of if he were to take over this strip of land. On my side, I would be concerned with maintenance. I would be concerned with many issues of that matter. Very recently, in fact, this past Tuesday, William has a continued behavior to block accesses. This past Tuesday, his employees were doing work at 170 Lynn Street rear. At 4 o'clock, he placed his commercial vehicle on the easement in the driveway for about 5 hours. I had left the home, returned, and examined that commercial vehicle was still sitting there. I immediately called the police, requested that vehicle leave. It disallowed my mom, my tenants, to pass through on that property. We had to have the police called in. The police went to his home at 13 Mason Street, not at the property of 170 Lynn Street rear, but at 13 Mason Street to get a key to reverse that vehicle in order for my mom's vehicle to pass through. I'm not so concerned about this 5-foot request that he has in the back of the shed. My concern is the strip of land that would go all the way to Lynn Street. I want to say that due to a personal issue that occurred 4 years ago, Mr. Scuris issued an order to go to court for trespassing. In order for me to provide support to the court that we did not trespass, I went and hired Hancock Associates to perform a survey. Within that survey, I was told by them that, Pauline, the fence that is laid there now does not belong to you, it belongs to the property of Mr. David Bork. And so upon knowing that, I went to Mr. Bork and I asked him, I told him, I'm sorry, that that fence is yours and that property is yours, and that he can remove it. At the same time, excuse me,
I'm sorry, but you have to keep this relevant to this particular request from him, not anything in the past.
understood.
Okay.
I do want to make a statement to Mr. David Bork. David, I opened your eyes to the area of that fence. I later came to you and I asked you, when you are ready to sell your property, that we would be very willing to sell it. Today, in front of all of you folks, I propose that I offer Mr. David Bork 50% more of the price that William Scores is offering him. I don't understand what the purpose is for you to go in and take the strip of land.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Next item on the agenda is site building permit plan for 0 Prospect Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is David Angeles. I'm an attorney representing the applicant regarding 0 Prospect Street, and I practice law here in Peabody at 246 Andover Street. My purpose in coming tonight is to simply bring you up to date, tell you that we've received all of our peer reviews. We received the last one on Tuesday, and we are now incorporating all of the requests and suggestions for improvements and changes from the peer reviewers. We don't believe that there are any real issues, and we're going to incorporate all of their comments, requests, changes, etc., into our plans and submit them to the board before the 26th, I believe it is, of this month, so that the board would be able to review them. And we therefore request a continuance until November 2nd, believing that we can't do anything any quicker than that. I'd appreciate it if the board continued this matter until November 2nd, at which time we can review the final plans. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move to allow the petitioner for 0 Prospect Street to extend until November 2nd.
I'll second that.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Less than 2 minutes.
Next item on the agenda is 54 Prospect Street, map 51, lot 4, 4A, 4B, 4C, and 4D.
Thank you. John Kelty, appearing before the board for the applicant. And 54 Prospect Street, we were provided by Mr. Langley with some contracts. And we've executed those contracts and brought them back to the board and to Mr. Langley. And so now I would respectfully ask for a continuance of this matter so that we can await the peer review. And perhaps just to the next meeting. Yeah, October 19th.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to allow the petitioner to extend his time until October 19th.
Second.
Next item on the agenda is 47 Tremont Street, map 75, lot 164.
This would be just a point of order with the chair and Mr. Kelty. if you had noticed, just, this will all make sense in 1 second. If you noticed on your agenda, there was 47 Tremont Street, but then in correspondence, there is a letter from, did you send it in? You sent it in before the package went up. In the correspondence section, there is a letter from Attorney Kelty about 47 Tremont Street and 45 Tremont Street, which is the request and explanation that they gave last week. Last month, I meant to say. It is up to the board if they want to hear this now or move to 28 Washington and then take this at the same time. So it's because it's two different items, 47 Tremont Street, the site plan in front of you, and then there is 45 Tremont Street, the site plan that was approved that they are seeking modification to that site plan. So I just wanted, for a point of clarification, that there's two separate items, both involving similar area on Tremont Street. I guess, Mr. Chairman, it's up to you which way we want to move.
So, may I? I think that to speak to the issue of the modification makes sense because at the current time, where Mr. Langley has been a little reluctant to send out or review 45 Tremont in conjunction with site plan review because of the unfinished nature of the property at 47. So 45 is land formerly owned by Ahmad Farhat. Mr. Farhat has abandoned that project, and in order to complete the entire project, that would be 45, 47, and 49 Tremont. Then my client, AGA Foster, Mr. Danisco, would like to sort of get everybody on the same page with respect to what is done, what is remaining to be done, and that's why we've asked to appear before you seeking modification of a couple of small items and apprising you of the matters that are not at 45 Tremont, but are sort of an integral part of the entire project that will be completed. So we would continue site plan review for 45.
The front parcel is 47 Tremont Street. The rear parcel is 45.
I'm sorry. So 47, we would continue the site plan review hearing for 47 so that we can show Mr. Langley where we are in the entire project, and then he'll send that out, or will do the review himself. We've tried to be careful in explaining that really our proposal for 47 Tremont, the front parcel, is no different, substantively no different from what it was before. But I do understand that nobody wants to issue a permit for further development without having an understanding of what's done and going to be done. So I provided a letter that is in your packet, I believe, that cites the modifications that we're requesting. And I supplied a couple of plans that show existing condition and proposed, and toward that end, we're hopeful that we can explain where we are, that you might vote on the issue of modification, perhaps tonight, if it goes to the next meeting, because you want to deliberate on it, then I certainly would understand that. The letter that I provided, do we have that in the packets? Yes. Correct. And in that letter was a letter that Mr. Mello had provided on September 21st. So when what I tried to do was kind of summarize them in my letter of September 28th. And we were asking for modification to allow 3 parking spaces where there was rounded curbing and planting area was proposed at the southerly corner of the sports complex. The rounding area is now not existent and has been replaced with these 3 parking spaces. We also asked for modification to allow the entrance to not be in the rear, but in fact to be on the side. But Mr. Danisco said he moved the entrance.
Just to clarify.
So is the entrance in the back or on the side? On the side. Okay.
Just to clarify, Attorney Kelty, are we now moving on to the request for modification for 45 Tremont Street,
Yes.
which is on the screen now, which should correlate with the first
Okay.
3 or the first few items that you're discussing?
So we've provided an entrance on the side of the building. Those that were at that site visit, that's the same place that if you were on the site visit, you saw where the entrance to the gymnasium is. The original plans showed the entrance to be in the rear of the premises, and so we're asking for modification to allow for parking along the rear of the gymnasium and to allow for the entrance to be on the easterly side of the building, which is, located up near.
Just to explain, the plan on the screen right now is the original plan that was approved by the planning board. The second plan that I am scrolling to now is the as-built that exists out there today.
Can you put your arrow where we have the entrance now? Right, yes. So the entrance was there, and it was originally proposed to be at the rear of the premises. There, correct. The third modification was a modification of the landscaped area at the northeast corner of the building to provide for a larger area as constructed. So the northeast corner, the island and the modification, the island and landscape area that was being shown there is actually bigger today than it was then, and that's because the municipal light and wanted a pole there, and we were able to provide that. It's in, and there's a hydrant. So the area to be landscaped became bigger to accommodate the 2 utilities that are in there. And then we want to modify the removal of an existing granite block wall, retaining wall, and plantings that were shown on the original plan, and we want to replace them with a wall which is newly constructed and is closer to our abutting property, and it creates an area for additional parking, which is down in the area of this plan, which is down in the area where I think it's number 2 that you... Yeah. So that originally showed a wall and then plantings on top of it. And we're now cut into it. We've created a new wall for which we have a geo...
Sorry, Chris, can you just show it again? Those that are watching this aren't able to see because the screen is shared. So as Chris shows it, I can show it on the screen for those watching.
So the other big discrepancy that exists is the location of the sewer, and that we are going to modify. Chris had supplied the board with a plan of where the sewer is going to be. Currently, the sewer line is not centered in our easement, so we will provide a new easement, and the sewer itself is very close to the building. We will provide a new easement and center the pipe in the middle of the easement area, and so it'll be further away from the building, and that anybody having to access it will have the benefit of the full 25-foot easement to be able to dig and access. And additionally, we have a $100,000 bond filed with the Public Services Department to encourage the movement of this sewer line. So there's plenty of incentive out there to do it, and it's been a matter of trying to get to a certain point with respect to the other areas around it, and then hopefully an approval of the front piece when our site plan review gets moved along. We will then move the sewer. So we're not asking for a modification.
If I may. I notice on your plan here, your proposed new easement goes under the newly constructed wall. Is that a correct visual on my part?
On our original site plan from 2018-19, there's a wall against the Luso Credit Union portion, and a portion of that wall is actually in the easement as built, and I believe, I'd have to look at the original plan, it might have been intended to. That is the small, or the shorter interlocking segmented block wall. Whereas the wall that Jack had just been discussing, we'll call that the Haven from Hungary area wall, is a poured reinforced concrete wall, monopore, if you will, on a large footing. That's nowhere near it. But yes, the answer to your question is yes, I believe.
So the easement is under the wall up near the street.
Yes.
And the plan I'm looking at here, this must be the old easement as it's under the building.
The easement is never, well, maybe it is under the building. I'm going to come over.
Absolutely. That's your easement. Yep. That's your building.
And that was the modified site development permit plan. Yes, and that easement is going to move. This sewer line is going to move based on the second plan. There's one more plan that you have, which is the relocated, reconstructed sewer. So that easement is going to move, that sewer line is going to move. There's only one segment of the sewer that doesn't get reconstructed, either from horizontal or vertical inadequacy.
All right, let's get back up to this now.
This needs to be discussed.
It certainly does. Right?
We have one more plan, I don't know if you can put that up, Drew, which is the third plan that came in that set. It's the sewer. You have it?
I didn't print that.
Okay. Please.
I think if you just,
So I think that some of you may have that, it was in the packet with the other two plans that we were looking at.
This needs to be discussed in the full realm. We can't just have individual conference.
so I think if you're speaking to the mic.
Okay, well, I need the plan. This mic, very good. So what we have before you, and some of you, the members may have it, is the proposed sewer relocation plan dated May 2023. And it relocates the easement itself through the property, and it calls for a reconstruction of the sewer from the first manhole coming out of Webster Street, which would be up in the southwest corner of the property there, with two new manholes going towards Tremont Street that get around the building, move the easement out of the building, bring the sewer up here, and a third new manhole up here. This whole section of sewer is got to get dug up and reconstructed. It's in the wrong place horizontally, it's in the wrong place vertically. It's there, we're not sure how or why, but we know it because we've done the as-built. And then that sewer gets,
Chris, no one can see what you're showing right now. If you could maybe show it on the plan that's on the TV screen, or
can you bring up the third plan?
this is the third plan that you're talking about. Well, this is all the plans. This is all the plans that I have.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Can't hear him at all. Yeah, start over. Oh, I have the, all right, now I have a mobile mic, thank you. I don't think this will work on that, does it? Oh, it does. You can see that. Okay, so starting again from up in the southwest corner of the property, we have a section of sewer that comes in from Webster Street that was built in the correct place horizontally and vertically. That section is going to remain. The sewer from that manhole to this manhole here that I'm pointing to this one, and then up to Tremont Street, is going to be ripped out, relayed horizontally and vertically in this position here, which will then give us an easement equidistant from the sewer that comes around the building, doesn't affect the building. Now, if we could slide the plan to the right, a little more, right there. Now, here's our new manhole here. The proposed sewer comes up here. There's a new manhole here. And now it goes out and connects to the portion that goes into Tremont Street. And the easement comes down, goes out, and across. And the question that started this conversation was, this portion of the segmented interlocking block wall is in the easement. It will not affect the ability to open that sewer for two things. One, we're going to reconstruct it, and two, you'll be able to get at it. And the reason this sewer is there, just I don't know if everybody remembers, our initial sewer plan brought the first line in to here and connected the buildings. The Department of Public Services expressed the issue that they have on Tremont Street, that Tremont Street has a big belly right there. And although the sewer works vertically, occasionally they had problems with it functioning as it should, be it volume, blockage, slope, whatever. And they asked Mr. Dinisco to bring that line all the way up to Tremont Street and connect it as an emergency overflow. To my understanding, it does not function in a normal capacity. The sewer on Tremont Street comes from the Salem end and goes down towards Central Street, and in various places goes down the side streets. So that's why that sewer is there. And it really doesn't matter because we agreed to build it. So hopefully that answers the sewer question. If I may. So you want to remove that wall that's there, Amon? Reconstruct your sewer, or you want to move your easement?
We're going to move these. We're not going to move that wall.
Well, have you had a chance to examine that wall? Right now it's buried.
Yes, and we've had this discussion, and I've asked Mr. Dinisco to provide me with the appropriate paperwork on that, and he's been going through that. I've been working with him. The wall has the largest selection of I guess it's ragweed and other things all over it. I saw that wall when it first went up. It comes up, the blocks are about 2.5 feet high. They get laid in a row, the next one goes on top of them. They maybe go 2-3 blocks, then it steps back and there's another one. It canters slightly towards the slope as it's supposed to. And I am not a structural engineer. I won't tell you that it is anything other than I see it and it looks like a wall to me. So Mr. Dinisco is getting that information because he's been charged with that task.
All right, I did observe a bulge in that wall, and after that, that's when the land at the credit union started to slide down the bank. So hence my big concern about that.
That would be the land in the back that slid?
Right there, right, no, move more to the street.
Here?
Yeah.
Against the credit union?
Well, they just paved their parking lot and they erected a fence not long ago, and it was
and-
moving downhill.
I know Mr. Dinisco was involved because some of the fence apparently was leaning, and he did do some work on that. I was not aware of any slope failure over there. I will look. So like you said, it's tough to see.
Those are my observations. I am not an engineer.
No,
I'm
fair
an
enough.
observer. But this evening, the easement is not on the table. Is that correct? Is the easement on the table tonight?
We're proposing to modify the easement from what it showed on the original plan to where we need to put it now, so.
All right, speaking for myself, I visited the site. I don't have a problem with these modifications. There's 4 of them here. The other outstanding work still has to be done. So
Right.
if the board is, I would move to, I think this is in here legally. Oh, I'm sorry, Joe.
Just one concern I think you can clear up. So there's these modifications, you're moving parking, you're creating parking spaces and changing curbing or whatever. My concern is that, are you reducing the landscaped area, or are you recreating that reduction somewhere else? In other words, are we getting more hot top and less trees and grass or wood chips or whatever it is?
I'll take my stick here and answer that. Can we go back?
Because I don't know if that creates another problem where you have to have so much space.
Could we go back to the as-built and the other 2 sheets, either one at once, and it's a simple answer. Item 1, up in the corner, the place we asked for a reduction was here. Mr. Dinisco paved that entire area, and we picked up 3 spaces. Since we did this plan, and since I drove out there during the week, he built the island. It looks like it takes up 2 of the spaces, so we could have reduced 100 square feet of landscaping, or we might have 100 more square feet of paving. That's possible. I think that's somewhat de minimis in the project, but that's the area where we were asking for the reduction.
Okay, I just wanted to mention it in case it has something to do with the previous approvals that you needed so much, percentage of open air, landscaped area and so forth. Would that change anything as far as approving the modification here today? Would that change anything previous as far as approvals of any plan? That's all I was bringing up.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, Attorney Kelty here has provided the board with a list of modifications to the originally approved plan. He's seeking this approval, but this does not involve the front parcel, which is 47 Tremont Street, which is a site plan still before the board.
I have a question through the chair. So, just so I understand this, hopefully. Regarding the sewer, I get what you're trying to do and make it right, that's good. Is Mr. Dinisco and his sewer contractor prepared to deal with the active sewer from the 2 occupied buildings on the site while you're redoing all this?
Yeah, I don't think we need the plan back up.
Well, you don't need to show me, it's just...
Yeah, the sewer for the 2 buildings does not come into play with any of that. hit on the lower end. The big building, the gym building, may, and if that is the case, it'll be done either with no flow or we'll have a vac truck sitting there. I mean, we have to take care of it.
Oh, so are you saying, Chris, that this Lot 2A, 49 Tremont Street, the sewer for that building actually goes out to Tremont?
No, none of them go to Tremont. They all go to
Right, so that's an active building, right? That's owned by somebody else that, you know, needs to make arrangements that while you're doing all the sewer work, either they can't use their sewer or they need to be pumped. Okay.
They have to provide.
So you'll make arrangements that these occupied buildings will have access to the sewer on Webster Street during all this relaying of pipes and manholes. Okay. So
Just reiterating one. The two buildings that are active do use a sewer, and they will more than likely take one of the structures that's being replaced, and they will block the entry and exit to that manhole going out, and then they would have a vac truck on site, and every time there's so many gallons in, the float would kick and they'd pump it out.
Okay, thank you. The second question is regarding retaining wall. So I saw where you pointed out there's about 60 feet of a very high wall kind of running east-west attached to about 105 feet of the same type height wall that kind of runs north-south and fills in that corner, all poured in place, reinforced concrete.
Yes.
With a, so, but what I also noticed when I was there is that this notch that's in the property line that pretty much notches out a piece of land from Haven from Hunger, which is part of this lot. This notch, right here, that notch.
Oh, that much.
Yeah, it cuts a notch out of the Haven from Hunger. And it belongs to your client, I get it. But when you look over there, there's very high sheer walls of sand. Very, very tall. 5, 6, 8, 10 feet tall of sheer vertical sand. Yeah, that's over there in that, right to the left of where it says Alexander. That wall just abruptly ends. And I asked last time I was at a meeting, which was approximately a month ago, because I wasn't at the previous meeting, I asked Mr. Attorney Kelty if that same type of wall was going to continue and follow the property line through that notch. And I was told yes. So I'm assuming he didn't lie to me and he didn't understand my question.
I'm going to bet that that's the answer. That wall was never...
That's what I asked. I asked, is this wall going to continue all the way through the notch and make all that upland area impervious to collapse? So I asked, is the wall going to continue around that notch? And I was told it was. It appears that the retaining wall work that's poured concrete is done. And it's not going any further. So how are you going to manage those are 2-foot contour lines, right, Chris?
They are.
Okay.
And that was pretty much, that notch sits there, and that is pretty much the topo that was there when we started. Below those 2-foot contours is exposed.
Yeah, but just because it may have washed away and collapsed before you started, doesn't mean that you can go and build this project and keep it letting it keep washing away and collapsing, can you? No, I'm just asking. If you
Right now, has got some, there was some granite blocks that have been moved. Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, there's 2 very large tapered footers that I don't know if they were always there or they got moved from somewhere else.
I think that they were part of the siding for the railroad. the spur came all the way along that curved wall, and those were at the end of it, and they were standing at one point. I don't know, some type of railroad structure that they used. They've been moved and batted around.
Yeah.
But that slope between where you're talking about, that notch,
Yeah.
to the best of my recollection, I don't have that plan unfurled, is that gets sloped. The
Okay.
area above the new retaining wall that was somewhat vertical for a while, sand, I went there tonight, and that has been graded off from the top of the wall towards the fences on the land that showed as Alexander and maybe Sulis,
Yep.
going towards Walnut Street.
Yep. Okay. So they're gonna, that'll be planted and stabilized?
That's what the original plan
Both
shows.
planted and
There was
stabilized.
no wall proposed for that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, in the matter of 45 Tremont, we have before us a request for 4 modifications. It's an attorney, a letter from Attorney Kelty dated September 28th. There are 4 requests, and I would move that the board allow these 4, only these 4 modifications to the 45 Tremont Street plan. On the letter dated September 28th.
It's just from attorney.
From Attorney Kelty.
We have a second on that motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Kelty.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is 28 Washington Street, map 95, lot 113. Thank you.
Be continued. Is that correct? The reason we're asking for that continuance is we've been engaged an architect so that we can file with the board what that additional, what the newly constructed former garage will look like. And I believe also we will be filing with the Historical Commission so that they can see also that this particular structure will be in context with the neighborhood from a historical perspective.
Mr. Chairman, at the request of Attorney Kelty in a matter of 28 Washington Street, I would move to grant his extension to continue until October 19th, 2023.
We have a second.
Second.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any information on or questions on the correspondence?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just want to make a point that in your packets, you would have received a notice that the board received in regards to Chapter 61A. This is a notice of intent to convert the address 64 Andover Street, more commonly known by many as Kane's Flower World. Chapter 61A is a tax-based program through the Massachusetts general law, and they are looking to change the use from their agricultural, I think that's the determination of what it is, agricultural use to a automobile sales. And as part of that, they have to notify the city and the respective boards of that. So this is that notification. As it's stated in the letter, the city has 2 options on what can happen out there. So I'm sure I'll be back to the board with their next meeting with an update on the city's thoughts and potentially what is going to happen.
Through the chair. So, Drew, are you saying that when they come up with some plans for whatever's going to happen on that site, because there's 3 point something acres of that parcel that are in Peabody, that'll come before this board as well? A site plan review and whatever else. Is that correct? To your understanding?
My understanding would be that depending on whatever, I'm just strictly hypothesizing. I have no idea. I don't even know who's taking the property over or what is happening out there. Besides, it'll be an automobile use. If they are to build anything over 1,000 square feet in the city of Peabody, or to do anything that requires more impervious material out there, then yes, they would have to receive a site plan if they hit any of those criteria within our zoning bylaw. I would understand that they would have to come in front of us. I believe at a minimum, if there is not anything that hits the threshold, I would believe that they'd be working with our Department of Public Services in regards to sewer, stormwater, anything of that nature.
Well, yeah, it's quite an oddity, I thought, in the assessor's maps, that the legal address for the parcel carries into Peabody, and it's 64 Andover Street, Danvers. That's the official designation of the parcel. So I think about 2/3 of that land mass is in Danvers, and approximately 1/3 is in Peabody, round numbers. So, that the smaller piece was in Danvers? That's true of the next parcel over of what used to be Bradley's, and it's now something home. That has a small piece in Danvers and a big piece in Peabody. That's the next parcel over. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, one more item probably before the board. Just wanted to give the board an update that the city of Peabody and the Community Development Department are undertaking the project of updating the city's master plan. We've been meeting with our consultant, and we had our first meeting of the steering committee. As part of this, you'll be expecting monthly updates on this plan update and what's happening, and I'll make sure to keep everybody up to date of events and information.
Other matters probably before the board. I'd like to, at this time, thank Attorney Ebernitis and Michelle on my question of the validity of the Mullen Rule that was granted to us by the City Council, I believe in 2022. And under the Mullen Rule, we have really not accepted the conditions of that pursuant to General Ledger 39, Section 23D. So at this time, you had all the correspondence that was delivered to you in your packet, and would like to have your opinion on whether or not we should accept and use the Mullen Rule. The Mullen Rule is for if you are not present at any proposal by a developer, you're not really supposed to be able to vote on it. The Mullen Rule will allow you, if you certify before the next meeting that you read the minutes of that, or if you saw a broadcast of it, or any of, I think it's 3 different things that would allow you to vote, and you transfer that correspondence letter to Michelle, either by email or personal delivery, you now would be eligible to vote on that proposal. This came up back a lot of years ago, and that we had a split vote where there was like 4 in favor and 3 against. One of the persons that was in favor was not at the meeting for the presentation. The attorney decided to challenge that, and it screwed up everything. So basically, the question to you is, do you understand the Mullen Rule, and are we willing to adopt it and use this if you're not present at a meeting?
So just to clarify, I have read it, and my understanding is there's just one rabbit in the hat. Just once. You can only miss one of however many there are. Is that correct? In other words, if there's 4 nights of testimony, you can only miss one. And then you fill in this document, you provide that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And it doesn't matter if it's the first one or not, because I know what we've done in the past.
It's whatever one you miss.
Even if it is the first one.
Yeah.
Understood. Thank you.
Another point of clarification, on the certification form that we have, it does say, as Mr. Simos pointed out, it can only be used for missing one single hearing session. My point of clarification is that a public hearing or any hearing or any presentation before this board?
They're all presented to the public through media. So basically, if you're not present for that, you're not present for that. You have to fill out the form and certify.
Okay, so it's just not for public hearings, it's for anything that comes before the board, any hearing that comes before the board. Okay, thank you.
If I may, I'm not an attorney, but I do realize the meanings of words, and a hearing is different than a meeting. That's two different things. So maybe we need a little more legal clarification. I'm not really opposed to it. Could be a tool for us, but a hearing, a public hearing is different than a public meeting.
And Mr. Chairman,
I would go along with that, and if we could send a little email to Attorney Evanitis on that to clarify that point of it, and we'll bring this up at the next meeting.
And Mr. Chairman, that's why I brought it up, because it does say hearing session, and you know, as Mr. Ford pointed out, there are hearings and there are meetings and there are presentations and so forth, and public hearings.
My interpretation in the past is that since it is broadcast and the public is aware of it, it's a hearing. If that's not correct, I'm not an attorney myself, so I'd like to get that clarified. Any other questions? All right, we'll carry this to the next meeting, if it's all right with the board.
It's okay with me.
We'll just put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Any other matters proper before the board?
I just have one question of clarification on this drawing that was up here, that was the first thing that got talked about tonight. This is very confusing. And I'm pretty sure, so there's 4 lots shown on this drawing.
I think we need to wait to discuss any of this further with the applicant to be here.
I'm not discussing it. I'm just talking about this particular surveyor, when he does stuff and why he does it this way. I'm pretty sure that there is a building, a dwelling on each of these 4 lots, and there's only 2 depicted, and I don't know why that is. So we can talk about it then.
I think all discussion on this should be withheld until we have the applicants back in front of us.
Okay.
Okay, and through the chair, I agree with you, Drew, but I'm kind of confused to why that we let this individual come forward and state her objection. It's like the cart before the horse. I disagree. I don't think that individual or any individual should come before this board and do an objection to a proposed plan that hasn't been submitted and discussed and for us to review. I mean, it's just not right.
I would normally agree with you, but this was publicized. It was supposed to be brought up. The family came here, right? My personal view, and if somebody wants to challenge that, is if somebody takes the time to come before us, I'd like to give them an opportunity to speak. And if you noticed, I stopped her and said, I only want to hear what's relevant to this specific proposal, not past, not future, just relevant to this proposal. And I think that any citizen in Peabody has the right to voice their opinion on something that's brought before the board. If you disagree with me, that's fine. Okay, thank you. Again, I will accept the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?